really important that learning doesn't stop when you leave university. Learning continues throughout your entire career. I got to know Raya because I joined the Singularity University a few years ago. And then actually she writes for the Singularity, and I've been reading about her blogs and her stories on a regular basis and really enjoy them very much. And we had the pleasure of meeting a few years ago last year when she joined our annual summit in Korea. And she was a wonderful speaker. And after several discussions, we've finally managed to agree to work together on putting this webinar together and giving you access to some of the tools available on Awecademy, and hopefully continue this partnership and give you access to more and more knowledge and information into the future. So thank you all for joining us, and I look forward to hear from Raya and the rest of the story. Thank you.
Thank you, Mario. That's very nice work. And I believe like there's a cool relationship going on between like PATA and Awecademy, and it actually, like as Mario said, it helped us to push forward our agenda in empowering the youth in the travel and tourism industry, because as we found out, like there's a huge shortage in terms of human capital development in getting the students more prepared, to get them more prepared before stepping into the industry, and also to get them into the industry. So let's not wait any further. So please allow me to introduce Raya Bishari, the founder and CEO of Awecademy. She's an amazing person, individually and also professionally. She's amazing in whatever she does. And I believe she will start her presentation now. And please go ahead, Raya.
Well, thank you, JC. Thank you for everyone who's joined this call today. And thank you, Mario, for that wonderful introduction. I completely agree with everything you say. In fact, it sounds like you've taken a few slides out of my talk. I usually say this exactly what Mario said. It's that there is no need to be so afraid about the future of the workforce, especially if you're in a career that is so human capital focused, that is so focused on human interactions, because those are exactly the kinds of roles and abilities that are most difficult to replace with machines. But we'll get to that in a bit. I wanted to take some time today to tell you a little bit more about myself, my journey, why we launched Awecademy, and about the platform itself and all the opportunities you'd get on the platform. The reason I like to start with sharing the details of kind of my story and Awecademy's underlying mission is because it's so important to understand why. It's so important to understand why PATA has decided to, work with us to give you access to the platform, and why this is something that's powerful for you to embark upon in terms of a learning journey. So I've been lucky to be a young entrepreneur. I founded my first organization, Silva Dubai, when I was in high school. Silva Dubai was actually the first science festival to launch in Dubai. It grew for us. It grew into having 10,000 annual visitors, multiple venues in the cities, partnerships with incredible institutions globally. And the goal was to spread a love for science through the arts. So we had lots of incredible artistically themed science events. Under that umbrella, I launched Intelligent Optimism, which was a social media movement that went about to have over 500,000 followers, launched Cap Scientifique Dubai. As Mario mentioned, I write for the Singularity Hub. I've been writing for them for over 3 years. And I was also part of the founding team of SheWorks, which is a contingent workforce platform for women that allows them to work on the cloud in a way that works for them. And SheWorks is based out of Silicon Valley. And so I've had the incredible fortune of working on a lot of initiatives, and like many of you, I always like learning through doing. I like learning through having a positive impact on the world, through launching initiatives, and through actually like getting into the field as opposed to sitting in the lecture hall. And what was a very frustrating experience for me was that the more time I spent doing things, and the more time I spent learning in the classroom, in a traditional classroom, in a lecture hall, the more I saw a mismatch, like between what I felt like young people needed to know to have a positive impact on humanity versus what traditional education focuses on. And this was a very frustrating mismatch for me, because I was delving into the future of work, the future of education. I was reading about the impact of technologies on the future. And the more I did this, the more I saw that there is a serious problem in how we're educating young minds. So, my team and I decided to go beyond just the anecdotal or personal frustrations and actually look at the reports, actually look at the data and see where it is that we're headed and what the root problems are. Now, one of the analogies I like to give, and if you were at last year's youth forum, you may have heard this analogy from me. As JC mentioned, it's sometimes hard to imagine what we mean when we talk about disruption. And especially, it's hard to imagine what we mean when we talk about exponential growth. So one thing you'll hear is that technologies are growing exponentially, right? They're growing very quickly. But what do we mean when we say exponential growth? Now, our brains have actually evolved to think in terms of linear growth and not exponential growth. But here's an analogy that I like to use. Imagine this. Imagine you were to take 30 linear steps forward, with each step being 1 meter. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. By step 30, you would be 30 meters away, right? That's so simple. It's so easy to predict. That's how we've been thinking for thousands of years. Now imagine you were to take 30 exponential steps forward, where each time your step doubled in length. So that's 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, and so on. By step 30, you would be 1 billion meters from where you started. That's the equivalent of 26 times around the planet. That's how quickly our technology is advancing. Moore's law shows us that our computing power is doubling every 12 to 14 months. It's the reason that computers today are 100 million times more powerful than they were 50 years ago. And that kind of accelerating change is the reason that the world is changing more quickly than ever before. It's why 65% of the jobs that students today will be doing in the future don't exist yet. It's why we're seeing that jobs that require monotonous, routine, boring, mechanical tasks are the first ones to get automated because we have artificial intelligence that can do that. And jobs that require 21st century skills like creativity, 21st imagination, social interaction, empathy, creative problem solving, those are the jobs that are going to be actually in demand, and those are the kinds of skills that will be in demand. We're also seeing the rise of what we call the imagination age, where artistic and creative and imaginative tasks become the primary creator of economic value. We're seeing disruptive technologies like 3D printing, AI, genetic engineering completely transform entire industries. So amongst all of this flux, our traditional education system has stayed more or less the same. It stayed with focus on outdated curriculum, exams, content knowledge, and as a result, it's not preparing young minds for this kind of a world and these opportunities that we're seeing. In fact, according to Ray Kurzweil, who is the best predictor of technologies, according to Bill Gates and many others. He's world-renowned. He's a director of engineering at Google. According to Ray, in the next 100 years, we will see 20,000 years of human progress. So in our lifetimes, we will see 20,000 years of human progress. Now we have to ask ourselves if traditional education is preparing us for that kind of change. So those were the set of problems that Awecademy was designed by nature to solve. And I'll tell you in a little bit how exactly we do this, but essentially what we do is we offer future-focused and wisdom-based programs, initially for high schools and now for universities as well. And the goal is to allow young minds to learn about these interdisciplinary topics, gain future fluencies, and have a positive impact on the world. But before I go into any more details, I have a short video on Awecademy that I'd like to share.
T-minus 10, 9, 8. We have a go for main engine start. We have main engine start. 4, 3, 2.
The future of humanity will be radically different from what we see today. We are living through a world of accelerating change. According to the World Economic Forum, 65% of the future jobs that students today will be doing don't exist yet. Exponential technologies are disrupting the workforce and increasing demand for 21st century skills such as creativity and multidisciplinary problem solving. What we need is not just a revolution in how we teach, but in what we teach. This is where Awecademy comes into the picture. Awecademy is a future-focused educational organization based out of Canada that is disrupting traditional high school curricula. Through an online platform and offline programs, Awecademy future-proofs high school students, educators, and industry leaders with new competencies, future fluencies, and critical survival skills. The programs offer an innovative supplement to traditional education. The online platform has been designed by award-winning global educationists and gives young minds the opportunity to do three things. Learn by accessing interactive and awe-inspiring online modules. Do by participating in projects and solving global challenges. And connect with potential collaborators and renowned thought leaders. The Awecademy modules are multidisciplinary and interactive and cover topics such as exponential technologies, mindfulness, AI ethics, moonshot thinking, finding transformative purpose, life, love, and death, future studies, and much more. The Awecademy Educators platform allows teachers to access future-focused professional development training programs in areas such as neuroeducation, STEAM integration, creating cultures of innovation, and much more. Awecademy also provides awe-inspiring, interactive, and future-oriented workshops and training for learners, educators, and industry leaders. The Awecademy vision for the future of education is one that fosters a sense of awe and wonder and inspires young minds to bring about civilization-level change. Join us as we revolutionize the future of education.
Yeah, so that's an overview of Awecademy and what we do. For the last year, we've been offering our programs for high school students, and now we're partnering with various universities, including the University of Bahrain, Smart University here in the UAE, to actually offer our programs also for university students as well. And essentially, as the video summarized, on the platform, you get to do three things. One is learn by accessing interactive modules that take less than an hour to complete, are all certified, and cover areas such as exponential technologies, future jobs and industries, creativity, skills of the future, and even things like tech ethics and life, love, and death. The goal is to help you develop not just the skills to have a positive impact on humanity, but to actually be prepared on life. And this is just an overview of the curriculum. It's all interdisciplinary. These are just the broad areas. There are sub-modules under each of these areas. We don't teach isolated subjects like physics, chemistry, math, or economics. Everything is cross-curricular. Everything is interdisciplinary. And that is because we've aligned the curriculum with the future of work. The reality is that the future workforce will require interdisciplinary thinkers and creative cross-curricular problem solvers as opposed to specialists. And that's why all of our programs are completely multidisciplinary. Now, we didn't want students to just learn on the platform. We wanted them to actually use what they've learned to do something, to create, and to actually have an impact on the world. That is why we also host projects and challenges on the platform. Now, I'll give you an example of how these projects work. Like one of the projects, our most popular one, it's called the Launch Your Moonshot Project. It's based on the idea that Google has for innovation, which is called moonshot thinking. Moonshot thinking is all about 10x improvement as opposed to 10% improvement. So it says that innovation is not about incremental changes, but it's about taking leaps over the status quo. And we have some curriculum on moonshot thinking. But then the Moonshot Project actually asks students to find problems in their community or in the world at large and come up with 10x solutions. And we actually have a cash prize that funds some of these proposals on an ongoing basis. So that's just an example of one of the projects, but there are many others that are hosted on the platform. In addition to the online stuff, we also do a lot of incredible workshops on the same areas, including growth mindsets, innovation and disruption. So should you ever want to work with us to actually come into your university and potentially explore doing boot camps and workshops, please don't hesitate to reach out. A little bit about our activities so far. So we're a young startup, but we've had lots of incredible validation. We've won many awards in the space in the last year, including the Next Billion Prize and the Global Education Supplies and Solutions Awards. And we've been very active here in the UAE and Canada. We were actually invited to be part of the G20 Summit last year as an exemplary example of a company or organization that is preparing young minds for the future of work, which was one of the core themes. Beyond that, we have been invited to be part of Area 2071, which is an initiative of the UAE Prime Minister's Office. So you're probably wondering, how did all of this curriculum get created? Where did the programs actually come from? And all of them have been designed in partnership with incredible organizations like Foresight University, like Intelligent Optimism, and Serious Wonder, and much more. Now, another fun fact about Awecademy, our chief evangelist is Jason Silva. And now, for those of you who don't know Jason, he's a National Geographic host, an Emmy-nominated one, of 2 shows, Brain Games and Origins. I strongly recommend his YouTube series, Shots of Awe. It has over 100 million views globally, and Jason just takes an awe-inspiring view on the future of humanity, technology, and its impact on, its existential impact on our lives. Jason is not only our chief evangelist, but we've actually worked in converting his Shots of Awe videos into curriculum that can be accessed on the platform. I wanted to share another video before deep diving into the actual platform preview, and that is a shout out from Jason.
What's going on, guys? My name is Jason Silva. Now, I am a huge fan of the famed astronomer and wonder junkie Carl Sagan, who has some words about the human thirst for knowledge. He famously said that understanding is a kind of ecstasy. Human beings are lifelong learners. Human beings are unendingly curious, but it is often our school systems that fail us. It is often our school systems that suck the vitality, curiosity, and life force out of our bodies and minds, with systems that no longer serve our curiosity, that no longer serve our hearts, and no longer serve our minds. The world is changing very fast. Technology is transforming the human condition. Now more than ever, we need to upgrade our educational systems. We need to create systems that foster curiosity, wonderment, and cosmic awe. We need to make of our students existentialists and cosmic visionaries. That is our goal. That is what we must do. Some of the recent ideas put forth by some neuroscientists, in fact, tell us that human beings are not just herbivores or carnivores, but we are infovores. What that means is that what we want is to eat new interpretable information. We are novelty junkies. We are designed to desire novelty and new interpretable information. Most information we take in through the visual cortex, which is connected to half of our brains, which in turn is connected to opioid receptors, giving us a pharmacological reward, a high from learning new information. So what we need is an educational system that can serve our natural born curiosity. And this, my friends, is what Awecademy is going to do. The folks behind Awecademy are some of the most brilliant educational thinkers I've ever come across, and these guys are creating an entire curriculum, an entire revolutionary and novel approach that will transform education. They're going to instill the values of curiosity, of cosmic wonderment, of existential sensibilities to make our students lifelong learners and chasers of the great unknown. So check out the work of Awecademy. I think they are up to wondrous things in the world, and I am thrilled to be supporting them as an advisor. Awecademy, the change starts here.
With various universities, including the University of Bahrain, Smart University here in the UAE, to actually offer our programs also for university students as well. And essentially, as the video summarized, on the platform, you get to do 3 things. One is learn by accessing interactive modules that take less than an hour to complete, are all certified, and cover areas such as exponential technologies, future jobs and industries, creativity, skills of the future, and even things like tech ethics and life, love, and death. The goal is to help you develop not just the skills to have a positive impact on humanity, but to actually be prepared on life. And this is just an overview of the curriculum. It's all interdisciplinary. These are just the broad areas. There are sub-modules under each of these areas. We don't teach isolated subjects like physics, chemistry, math, or economics. Everything is cross-curricular. Everything is interdisciplinary. And that is because we've aligned the curriculum with the future of work. The reality is that the future workforce will require interdisciplinary thinkers and creative cross-curricular problem solvers as opposed to specialists. And that's why all of our programs are completely multidisciplinary. Now, we didn't want students to just learn on the platform. We wanted them to actually use what they've learned to do something, to create, and to actually have an impact on the world. That is why we also host projects and challenges on the platform. Now, I'll give you an example of how these projects work. Like one of the projects, our most popular one, is called the Launch Your Moonshot Project. It's based on the idea that Google has for innovation, which is called moonshot thinking. Moonshot thinking is all about 10x improvement as opposed to 10% improvement. So it says that innovation is not about incremental changes, but it's about taking leaps over the status quo. And we have some curriculum on moonshot thinking. But then the Moonshot Project actually asks students to find problems in their community or in the world at large and come up with 10x solutions. And we actually have a cash prize that funds some of these proposals on an ongoing basis. So that's just an example of one of the projects, but there are many others that are hosted on the platform. In addition to the online stuff, we also do a lot of incredible workshops on the same areas, including growth mindsets, innovation and disruption. So should you ever want to work with us to actually come into your university and potentially explore doing boot camps and workshops, please don't hesitate to reach out. A little bit about our activities so far. So we're a young startup, but we've had lots of incredible validation. We've won many awards in the space in the last year, including the Next Billion Prize and the Global Education Supplies and Solutions Awards. And we've been very active here in the UAE and Canada. We were actually invited to be part of the G20 Summit last year as an exemplary example of a company or organization that is preparing young minds for the future of work, which was one of the core themes. Beyond that, we have been invited to be part of Area 2071, which is an initiative of the UAE Prime Minister's Office. So you're probably wondering, how did all of this curriculum get created? Where did the programs actually come from? And all of them have been designed in partnership with incredible organizations like Foresight University, like Intelligent Optimism, and Serious Wonder, and much more. Now, another fun fact about Awecademy, our chief evangelist is Jason Silva. And now, for those of you who don't know Jason, he's a National Geographic host, an Emmy-nominated one, of 2 shows, Brain Games and Origins. I strongly recommend his YouTube series, Shots of Awe. It has over 100 million views globally, and Jason just takes an awe-inspiring view on the future of humanity, technology, and its impact on, its existential impact on our lives. Jason is not only our chief evangelist, but we've actually worked in converting his Shots of Awe videos into curriculum that can be accessed on the platform. I wanted to share another video before deep diving into the actual platform preview, and that is a shout out from Jason.
What's going on, guys? My name is Jason Silva. Now, I am a huge fan of the famed astronomer and wonder junkie Carl Sagan, who has some words about the human thirst for knowledge. He famously said that understanding is a kind of ecstasy. Human beings are lifelong learners. Human beings are unendingly curious, but it is often our school systems that fail us. It is often our school systems that suck the vitality, curiosity, and life force out of our bodies and minds. minds, with systems that no longer serve our curiosity, that no longer serve our hearts, and no longer serve our minds. The world is changing very fast. Technology is transforming the human condition. Now more than ever, we need to upgrade our educational systems. We need to create systems that foster curiosity, wonderment, and cosmic awe. We need to make of our students existentialists and cosmic visionaries. That is our goal. That is what we must do. Some of the recent ideas put forth by some neuroscientists, in fact, tell us that human beings are not just herbivores or carnivores, but we are infovores. What that means is that what we want is to eat new interpretable information. We are novelty junkies. We are designed to desire novelty and new interpretable information. Most information we take in through the visual cortex, which is connected to half of our brains, which in turn is connected to opioid receptors, giving us a pharmacological reward, a high from learning new information. So what we need is an educational system that can serve our natural born curiosity. And this, my friends, is what Awecademy is going to do. The folks behind Awecademy are some of the most brilliant educational thinkers I've ever come across, and these guys are creating an entire curriculum, an entire revolutionary and novel approach that will transform education. They're going to instill the values of curiosity, of cosmic wonderment, of existential sensibilities to make our students lifelong learners and chasers of the great unknown. So check out the work of Awecademy. I think they are up to wondrous things in the world, and I am thrilled to be supporting them as an advisor. Awecademy, the change starts here.
So that's an overview of a shout out from Jason. Now, before I jump into the actual platform preview, we've worked with PATA very closely to offer a special offer for everyone in the PATA community. Normally when you sign up on the platform, it's about $9 a month. But if you use this code, we are actually offering the first 30 people that sign up 3 months of completely free membership, which gives you a chance to actually try out the platform before fully committing to it. And after that, it's $7.99 a month per student to subscribe to the platform. And we'll probably email this to everyone, right, JC, the code? Yeah. So if you take a moment to write it down, and if you don't worry about it. You can get it from the PATA community. Before I wrap up, the full people, 1 second. We thought it would be valuable for everyone to actually see a preview of the platform. I'll quickly just walk you through. It's very intuitive, but I'll walk you through what it looks like and what you can do on the platform. So naturally, you're going to sign up as a learner. And when you do that, remember that you use the code at checkout and not at access code in the first step. Once you actually manage to activate your account via your email and actually log in, you'll be able to see a couple of things. One of it is your profile. Your learner profile will show all the modules you're enrolled in and all the modules you have completed. And this is a shareable link. So you can share this link with potential employers, with universities, with other members in your community that can actually be able to see what modules and programs you've completed at Awecademy and been certified for as well. Then on the Learn section, you get an overview of all the different modules that are available. Currently, there are over 130 modules in a wide range of areas that you can see here. And we're adding new ones every month. So there's new content every month for you to access. In terms of what each module looks like, when you click on one of these modules, you go into a module overview that will give you some more information about that module and what key concepts and objectives it covers. And if you're interested, obviously you can start it. And within that module, there's 9 steps for each of them. It starts off with objectives. It goes into a video. There's readings, quotes, and then the latter half is entirely activity-based. So as a student, you actually have to participate in these exercises, and we actually review your progress and your work at the end before issuing a certificate. This is to make sure that everyone's participated in an active learning process, which is actually the most powerful way to learn. So this just gives you an overview of what it would look like after each step of the module. Again, each module usually takes less than an hour to complete in one setting. All your answers and work get saved. It's completely self-paced. It's always available, so you can do it when you want to do it, whenever you want to do it, at whatever time, and as many modules a day or week or month as you wish. So it's a completely self-paced experience. And as I said, we review the work to make sure everything's done right before we issue certificates. And you also, can provide us with feedback at the end of every module and participate in discussions. And at the end, you actually get access to curated resources by our award-winning educators if you wish to delve in deeper into a particular topic. And in the do section, you also get access to all the projects and competitions. So that's where you'll be able to see various projects and participate in them. So that's an overview of the platform. And with your subscription, you'd also get access to any new features that come up in the future. It's a one-time it's all encompassing fee. So it's an overview of Awecademy, why we do what we do, and the platform itself. I believe we'll have time for a Q&A shortly, so I'd be happy to answer any questions. I'll also leave my email in the chat if you wish to reach out to me with any questions about our programs or really the future at large. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you, Raya. I believe we received some questions from also probably we'll set it as an interview-ish kind of thing of Q&A. So I believe we received a question from Kim, and they're asking what is the difference with an MOOC, which is a massive open online course?
Yeah, so a massive open online course. Now, traditionally, those courses have been designed to be long-term, right? So there's usually around 7 to 10 weeks to complete a course that is accredited by a university. There's a couple of differences. One, we take a micro-learning approach, and that each module takes less than an hour to complete, so we get micro-certifications. And so it's in the future of education, that's supposed to be a more effective way to be agile, because you can keep learning in bite-sized amounts and to adapt. Secondly, the topics we cover are very different than your traditional MOOC or traditional online platform. One of the things we saw that there was a lot of innovation in digitizing content and digitizing existing curriculum. So traditional courses were getting digitized, but the actual content itself was not being innovated. So the kind of themes, existential themes and futuristic themes we cover are very unique. Beyond that, we don't just want you to learn, we actually provide access to projects and competitions and opportunities to do social innovation, which is another distinguishing factor from traditional MOOC platforms.
And Kim asks, oh, I see, is this a paid course?
So it's a paid subscription. Yes, so you subscribe on the platform and you get access to everything on the platform. It's not a per course. And with the code, you actually get 3 months free subscription and only get charged afterwards should you want to continue using it. So it's a special offer for the PATA community.
Thank you for the answers. And I think I personally have some questions for you too. So I'll just shoot. So basically, most of the students here or the people joining this webinar are basically from travel and tourism sector. So what is your vision of tech collaborating with the travel and tourism industry? Because you've been dealing with so much tech and disruptions. So have you come across any of your this kind of tech influencing the travel and tourism industry probably 5 years time? Because I believe some of the students, they're graduating in 3 to 5 years time. So it's more towards the application and how they can think forward and prepare after they graduate instead of now, but in preparation for the upcoming 3 to 5 years.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing to remember with technology is that, I often give a lot of youth talks to high school students, university students, and sometimes there are those that disconnect from the conversation because they think, oh, I'm not interested in tech. I'm not going to be a computer scientist. This doesn't necessarily apply to me. And the thing to keep in mind is that it's impacting all industries. It's impacting medicine, it's impacting art, it's impacting everything. Now, with travel and tourism, I've seen a couple of really exciting applications. One is in the area of big data analytics. So when it comes to things like hotel bookings, flight bookings, we're seeing big data and AI be used to make really personalized recommendations, to be able to track consumer behavior and traveler behavior, and be able to pick up relationships that humans would not be able to pick up on just by analyzing data themselves. That's been one exciting area. In hotels as well, in the kind of hospitality industry, we're seeing a lot of automation of traditional like mechanical tasks. So more and more hotels are either having automation in things like cleaning and things like actually servicing. But at the same time, that allows the individual humans to focus more on the actual hospitality and empathy and like the human connection side of things, which is going to be so critical because that's so difficult to automate. And you have to look at the impact also of decentralizing technologies. Like look at Airbnb and the Airbnb platform and the way that it's decentralized and it's disrupting really the hotel industry in many ways, right? And it's actually providing an innovative solution to make it decentralized as opposed to having specific bodies that are only able to do hospitality. Another area I think tech has a lot of impact is in education itself. So right now, a lot of technology, a lot of hospitality universities, and we actually worked with a university in Switzerland on this, but they're digitizing their hospitality education because it turns out to be one of the areas that is most impactful in developing countries in order to educating them and being able to allow them to participate in the workforce. So upskilling individuals from low income and developing backgrounds via online technologies and hospitality has been another powerful force. Those are just a few examples. Mm-hmm. What I urge you to think is like, look up two things. One, read about exponential technologies like 3D printing, like artificial intelligence. And actually as a creative exercise, think of areas in hospitality or travel and tourism that it can impact, right? And actually think about renewable energy. How can we change the way we power, the tourist industry or the travel industry, renewables, right? So for each of those verticals, actually think creatively, and that's the best way to really come up with company ideas. And the second exercise is to, look this information up, look at the future of travel and tourism and the impact of things like big data, rise of AI chatbots on the industry. There's a lot of amazing thought leadership happening. And there's a lot of robust prediction. It's not this big question mark about, we don't know what's going to happen. So there's a lot of information that you could read into to gain a better picture of the future.
That's really true. I think like I would really like to emphasize that a lot of we are basically in the service industry, but there are also a lot of people, like for me, for example, like I'm not a very techie person like this guy here or Raya. But it's like, I think it's very important to know how is technology gonna develop? How is it, what is its role in in the travel and tourism industry in general, like in 3 to 5 years time, in order to still be relevant and also like prepare your skill in a specific way that can actually collaborate with all these different technology and advancement and disruptions. I think all this is very important as well. And also like one more question, you mentioned about startups like you. So just focus a bit more on entrepreneurship. It's like, may I know like what are the challenges for being an entrepreneur in general, to inspire a bit more about some of these young tourism professionals that's interested to, be one of their own, to live a freedom life? Is it really a freedom life, or is it really that easy to create a company of your own?
The whole thing is a challenge. I mean, there's a hilarious quote, I don't know who said it, but it was like, entrepreneurship is like jumping off a plane and building a parachute on the way down. And I think that's very accurate. That's literally what it's like. You're like, okay, I'm going to do something, and you learn as you go and you try to figure this thing out. One thing that I think is so important is that you don't start an entrepreneurial project because you feel like being an entrepreneur, because it sounds like the cool thing to do nowadays. Because I guarantee you won't last. One of the things, because entrepreneurship can be so difficult, it's so uncertain, it's such a big risk. Only 3% of startups succeed, right? Compared to all your friends that are going to have 9-to-5 jobs with a solid salary, you're actually in the beginning going to be in a much more difficult position. Because of all of that, it's so important to have a strong mission and why that drew you into entrepreneurship. The best entrepreneurs and innovators are the ones that go into it not thinking I want to start a business, but thinking I want to solve a problem. This is a problem that really pisses me off, that keeps me up at night, that makes me frustrated, and I think I'm in a position to solve it, and I'm inspired to solve it. And then entrepreneurship is one way to solve that problem, right? There's other ways to solve the problem. I think it's so important to start with having that massive transformative purpose and then going into entrepreneurship, because when it's 3 a.m. and you ask yourself, why am I doing this? You actually have a strong answer to keep you going. You actually say, I'm doing this to push humanity forward. And that is really motivating. That's so important. But beyond that, I mean, yes, it can be very uncertain. It can be quite risky. It can be difficult. Another suggestion I have is to, if it's something you're exploring, it's to actually you take a scientific approach with it as well. So there's this amazing philosophy called the lean startup principle, and there's a whole book on it. And it says, instead of investing millions of dollars or all your life on a big visionary solution, create a smaller version of it first, test it out, see if there's market demand for it, see if the solution actually works, see if you're enjoying working on it. And then you're like, oh, these things are actually working, and then do a bigger version. So an example of how we approached it, the very first version of our platform was a very basic WordPress template, really, with like 1 or 2 courses that we tested out with 50 students. And we did that. We gathered results. We figured out what's not working and what's working and whether this has some potential before investing heavily. And you're constantly doing those experiments. You're constantly having the positive feedback loop. And I really recommend that. Another example, and this is from a friend's startup. They essentially have a restaurant booking app. But before they invested into their restaurant booking app, before they even committed to it, before they decided to be entrepreneurs, what they did was just set up a landing page, a website, with a few restaurants that you could book into. And they actually experimented to see if people would start booking on the website. And it's funny because behind the scenes, there was no software. They would actually call up the restaurants and check to then do the booking. But they were able to show that in a month, they had like 300 people book through to the website. And then they were like, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to launch this company and we're going to invest heavily into it. So I think a lot of entrepreneurship could be prevented if people took a scientific approach to it.
Raya, I have 2 questions for you. You said you have about 130 modules on the platform today. How often do you add modules? That's the first question. And second, what's next for Awecademy?
Sure. So with the first question, we add approximately 5 every month, sometimes more. We're actually rolling out over 10, 15 modules in the next month on the area of existential studies. On average, it's about 5 a month that get added every month. In terms of the second question, so right now we're actually working on something very exciting. We've always been a supplement to traditional education, right? An extracurricular provider, and that's been where we wanted to start. But we're now working on a completely alternative model that would replace traditional education, that would serve as an alternative to traditional high schools. That's all I can share at the moment. But in terms of our next step, it's to really not just, because the frustrating thing, I think, that I see in a lot of industries is people don't change the core. They add layers of innovation on top of a broken system. And we're seeing that with education. We're seeing that the core is still focused on grades and exams and isolated subjects and memorization and content knowledge, and a whole bunch of other issues. And people are just adding layers of innovation, which is fine. I mean, that's what we are. But the core itself needs to be completely overhauled and torn apart and made a completely new model as an example of what the future of education could be like. So that's what we're working on. And you guys will be the first to hear about it when we announce further details.
Thank you. Sounds great.
And I believe we also received one question from Christopher from Singapore Temasek. He's asking you that can some of the courses be too difficult for students to complete? And will there be some form of help or guidance throughout the way?
Yeah, so one thing we make very sure of is that it's accessible to everyone. So one of the challenges that might be a case is that it's all in English, right? So if English isn't your strong language, there might be a challenge there. However, we have not had any issues on that front. Anyone above age 14 has usually been able to access it, because let's say if we're doing a module on blockchain, right, on the future of blockchain, there's a lot of scaffolding that happens. You get a lot of resources explaining blockchain technologies before you actually get to, get tested on it. So we've specifically designed it to be accessible to the layperson. But should it ever be a massive challenge, you can always reach out to us at info or support@awecademy.org. But so far, that hasn't been an issue.
Thank you for your answers. I think now there's no more questions from my side and also from the attendees side. So I will just wrap it up. And thank you so much, Raya, for giving such a crash course on innovations and disruptions. I believe a lot of people, sorry, wait, there's another one. Okay, so most of the participants are from hospitality and tourism. Are there any existing modules that can enhance student skill-based learning, like restaurant management?
So we don't have modules necessarily on those specialties in hospitality and tourism. The modules, however, do cater to what we call 21st century skills. These are universal skills that will be in demand in the future workforce. They include things like innovation, entrepreneurship, critical thinking, creativity and imagination, digital literacy, personal branding, communication, and those are skills that are transient and universal across all industries. And those are the kinds of soft skills that you'll be able to access on the platform. For things specifically to restaurant management and that kind of hospitality specific specialty areas, it's not our area of value proposition, but I'm sure there are other platforms out there that focus on that.
Maybe I can add to this question. When I attended Singularity University, my intentions when I signed up initially was to go as an investor to look at future of technologies, where I should be investing in, etc. And it did achieve this in many ways. But I also realized throughout the week, as I met people and listened to the various topics, how they were relevant to my current job in travel and tourism, how each one of the various technologies we talked about are either impacting the tourism sector today or will be impacting the tourism sector in the future. So I think, following these modules and programs, it may be hard sometimes to look at it if you work at a reception or if you work in hospitality within the tourism sector. But I think it's really good that you get to know what is actually coming up, so you prepare yourself, because you will be affected either directly in your day-to-day job or indirectly at home in your daily life. And I think this is why I enjoyed the courses at Singularity very much, and programs like Academies and others who actually teach you about the technologies that are affecting us on a daily basis. Sometimes we just use them. We're not conscious of it. We talk often about artificial intelligence, and people think of sci-fi movies with robots and machines doing work for us and etc. Yes, there's a little bit of that in manufacturing and other industries. But there are things we use on a daily basis on our phones, on our apps, our chatbots, and various ways. It is a form of artificial intelligence. We're just not conscious of us using it every day. How do you apply this now to your day-to-day job and et cetera? It's very interesting. I was sharing with JC that 2 weeks ago I met the most phenomenal individual, only 10 years old. Her name is Zara Khanna, and she created a chatbot for travel for kids. She actually coded the entire chatbot herself at 10 years old. And it is functional, it is very fun and very easy to use. It's called octa.ai. And children can go and actually create, I want to go to Singapore, and what are the things for me to do in Singapore as a kid? I can go to the zoo, I can go to the playgrounds, I can go to botanical garden, and all sorts of different activities, and then drill down to the specifics about opening times, prices, buy tickets, and alternative activities for kids to do. And you can roam around the world. And essentially children are programming or planning the trips for themselves, and then show their parents this is what they want to do. Again, 10-year-old who actually build this entire chatbot on their own. These are technologies that are available today. This is a simple model, but it's being used in many other ways too. So I think, it's very important for all of you, including myself and us, to get ourselves familiarized with the technologies of today and tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Like for, especially we did the Para DNA assembly, we actually get like all the students studying like with different backgrounds, studying like tourism or hospitality. And then we put them into speed dating, talking to like people from different industry, like from marketing, destination, and tech companies, startups. It's like basically for to allow the students to broaden their views about the travel and tourism industry. And it's not specifically like to stuck at a certain sector, but also like how different sectors collaborate with each other, how it functions, what are the mechanics behind it, etc., etc. So I think that's one of the main thing that we focus on as well on our modules and DNA series. And I believe there's also another question focusing on China. So one of the delegation actually asked, like, are you ready to expand your system to China? Is there any certain plans or?
There are actually. We're speaking to various partners right now, including a series of schools in China that are interested in implementing our programs. So we are in conversations to do that actually. So if anyone does want to speak more about that, I'm always happy to chat.
Mm-hmm. And may I know, like, what's the, how many users do you have in your?
Yeah, so our programs are currently being accessed by over 100,000 students, both on the platform so we have our own the students that are on the platform, but also beyond that, we've had education providers like GEMS Education, like Talim, that have licensed the curriculum and programs to be hosted on their platforms as well. So the combined overall access goes over 100,000.
Mm-hmm. And if there are any like universities would like to help, and or even some private sectors would like to help contribute to one of the modules or something like that, it's like is there a certain process of filtration or steps?
Yeah, well, they can first reach out to us and we chat more about finding out who's designing the content, what do they have in mind. And, there's 3 ways we design our content. We have our in-house team. We have partners that already have a lot of amazing content that just we convert into modules. And sometimes we contract individual educators and industry experts as well. So, if they reach out to me, I'm trying to leave my email in the chat, but it's not letting me contribute to the chat for some reason. But JC, maybe you can send an email to everyone afterwards. They can reach out to me if they're interested in doing that. And we're always happy to collaborate and explore that avenue.
Okay, great. I think if there's, thank you so much, Raya. Once again, I'm really sorry to thank you and then followed by another question and back and forth, but I feel some of the questions are pretty interesting. So if it's worth the shot. But if there's any other attendees that would like to send some more questions, you guys may do so, or you guys can send your questions, email it to us, and then we'll actually compile it and send it back to Raya to answer some of the questions. So that, because we do have limited time, and I think, and then we will definitely share the slides, the PDF slides to everyone. And then we will actually post this webinar online as well. So we will send it to like all the delegates who attended this webinar. So if you have any questions, just drop an email to us. And of course, we'll send you Raya's email so you can invade her too with some of your questions. So once again, I would like to thank everyone for joining us at this afternoon, evening, morning, depending which time zone you're joining. And of course, a little bit of advertising. If any one of you want to stay updated with the youth initiatives that PARA is currently organizing or executing, we have challenges, workshops, sponsorships, scholarships,
competitions.
Competitions. So you can stay up to date with our YTP Facebook page. So remember to follow us, like and follow. And then if there's any questions, you can talk to the team behind the page. You can just drop us a message or email, and we will always happy to answer all your questions. So thank you everyone once again, and thank you Raya for joining us, and we look forward for more interesting modules with you as well, offline, online, either way, since technology, it can make wonders nowadays. So thank you once again, and have a great day ahead everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thanks.